Why are you booing me? I'm right. Welcome back. I'm back at it again with opinions that no one asked for and most people disagree with. Today I'm talking about Gilmore Girls, specifically Logan being the best boyfriend for Rory. Now, you're gonna have to just listen to me on this. Don't go straight to the comments, just give me a chance. Let me explain, because this video is going to challenge our ideas, not just of Rory's boyfriends and how they were portrayed, but also Rory herself, because I think a lot of our prejudice on who we like is more so who we like for ourselves and not necessarily who was the best for Rory. In my humble opinion, I think Logan was the best for Rory, but you have to hear me out, please. I lay awake at night, just my wheels spinning thinking about this, so I have to vomit this out on the internet, and if no one watches it, great, even better, but if someone watches it, I will at least feel a smidge validated. Or everyone disagrees with me, but that's fine. I'm willing to die on this hill. We're gonna start by just discussing them individually, so let's start with Dean, of course. For a first-time boyfriend, it's fine. He was sweet. He was very uncooperative with anything. Rory had to drag him to anything she wanted to do, any place she wanted to go, her hobbies, they were all forced on him. She would lend him books, but he didn't really care. She couldn't discuss things with him in detail, like the way she would normally want to. You can tell Rory is a very analytical person. I mean, her and her mom are just going off the rails all the time, talking about everything and anything at a million miles an hour, and Dean just kind of tagged along, but he didn't really participate. You can tell once Rory got older, she needs someone to sort of match her energy, not just be dragged along the way, because she's going to be weighed down by having to drag someone with her, or turn to someone like Jess, who was her next go-to after Dean, who kind of reciprocates some of those same interests. Also, while Rory was dating Dean, she was in school, and it was a very strict private school. It was a lot of work, and anytime she had to put her school in priority, he was always like,
I'm uncomfortable when we are not about me.
He was such a whiny baby. Like, if Rory didn't dedicate every second, every waking moment to him, then he'd go like, but what about me? You have to study so you can get into Harvard? But that's later. You should spend your time on me, your high school boyfriend. He got jealous of school. No wonder he got jealous of Jess. And to wrap it up, Dean cheated on his wife. Yeah, it was with Rory, but he cheated on his wife. It's the end of Dean. Moving on. Let's talk about Jess. First and foremost, stop glamorizing Jess just because you think he's hot. I get it. He's the bad boy trope. He is a handsome actor. He's got the hair. Just because you think he's cute doesn't mean he's not toxic. Yes, I understand he did seem to genuinely care about Rory and they did share interests, but boy was he terrible at showing that he cared about her. If we only ever saw the clips of him and her together, we wouldn't even know he cared about her. The only reason we know he cared about her is from his conversations with Luke or with Lorelai or whatever. You could see glimpses of it here and there that Rory never got to see. He ignored her for the beginning of their relationship when it wasn't convenient for him, or he just didn't care. He was apathetic towards her. Like that episode where she waits around by the phone and then ends up going to the hockey game, and then the only reason he even made up for that is because Lorelai talked him into it. Even though he shared some of the similar interests with Rory, he never wanted to do anything with her. Just like Dean, she had to drag him to everything, and for the most part she went by herself. He also had a habit of taking his anger out on her all the time. I understand he's 17, he's very troubled, he comes from a harsh background, but you still don't treat people like that. Then he got mad at her for not wanting to have sex at Kyle's party. He was gonna apologize, but then he just came out swinging at Dean because at least Dean was there to be nice and comforting to her. And then just left for California, just leaving her to wonder with no answers. The last thing she knows is he's mad at her for not having sex with him at a party, and then he gets in a fight with her ex-boyfriend, and then he just dips. I understand that he never intentionally hurt Rory. Again, it was all reactionary from things that had nothing to do with her, things from his previous life before he came into Luke's, and then things that were still bothering him. No excuse, and even then, as an excuse, maybe you just shouldn't be dating, and especially not a girl like Rory. Grow up and live your own life somewhere else, heal, do what you need to do. And speaking of, he did get himself together. Love that for him, proud of him, genuinely. But Rory would have been a distraction for him along the way, as would Jess have been for her. Rory wanted a life that was nothing like what Jess wanted, and Jess wanted a life that was nothing like what Rory wanted. I think they would have been best as friends. I think they could have had a great platonic relationship where they both build each other up and help each other, but there's nothing romantic there. They could be long distance friends, see each other for coffee here and there. They didn't need to date for them to have a fulfilling relationship with each other. Let's talk about Logan. When she meets Logan, it's when she's investigating the Life and Death Brigade, and he's kind of the first person to really match her energy. They go at it in a hallway in this debate, and she's kind of getting heated, But Logan's having fun. He's like, I'm gonna see what I can say to just kind of get under her skin a little bit, and not in like a bratty way, in just like a fun banter sort of way. She's never really met someone other than her mom that can match her energy, and that right away to me showed that Logan was a good fit in at least a friendship capacity at the minimum, but that wasn't someone she was going to be able to ignore, if you know what I mean. He didn't just immediately fawn over her and get all tongue-tied and be like, oh, you like books? That's cute. I once read a book. And then the whole life and death brigade thing, when they climb to the top of the whatever and they jump off and they're like, they have to hold hands that time, and she's like, this is a once in a lifetime experience, and he says it doesn't have to be. Like, right from the get-go, he wanted the most for her. Even when they weren't dating, when they just had met, he was never gonna hold her back. Like Dean, who she was still with at the time, who got all upset because she came out of her party and she was with the boys and they were joking and she was looking all cute in her little tiara, like, oh my god. I mean, Dean knew her grandparents were wealthy. He met them. He went to their house. And all of a sudden he's all upset, like, I just don't belong in your world. She came out to see you. She came out to meet you. I mean, you're right, you don't belong with her, but still, he got all upset just because she was having fun without him, basically. Let's get down to the point. The only reason most people don't like him is because he's rich and represents a life that Lorelai ran from. If Lorelai doesn't like him, the audience doesn't like him, and that's not fair to him, because Lorelai is a flawed character. We know this. Just because Lorelai doesn't like something doesn't mean we, the audience, also have to dislike it. Lorelai can sometimes be wrong. That's okay. It doesn't make her a bad person, just makes her human. Not only did Logan support Rory's dreams to the fullest extent, but he had his own dreams. They would have been an amazing power couple, a dynamic duo, but he also allowed her space during her little quarter-life crisis. You could tell that he understood she just needed a break, and everyone in her life was pushing her. You have to stay in school, you have to stay on this path. I know that Lorelai didn't like this, so we, the audience, were conditioned to not like it, but I think that was good for Rory. I think she needed that time away from school to understand who she is outside of schooling. Her life has revolved around getting perfect grades, around achievements only in school and school alone, to get to what? She really didn't have a life outside of school, so this gave her a kind of chance to step back, cool down, and figure out who she is. He was not enabling. He was supportive. He encouraged her, but he also didn't push her like everyone else in her life. After his and Rory's first breakup, he sought out Lorelai's forgiveness and advice, which, the balls, the courage to do something like that with a woman he knows doesn't like him, to seek out not just her forgiveness, which is not something Lorelai gives easily, but her advice on how to get Rory back when he knows that she doesn't want him to get Rory back. He was persistent in pursuing Rory when someone like Dean would have just been, oh, woe is me, sad, mopey, and Jess would have just ghosted. Side note, him helping at the paper when Paris had an absolute meltdown, the sexiest thing I've ever seen. Are you kidding me? Alright, so let's talk about the cheating thing. It's a bit gray, of course. Should he have slept with those girls? Personally, I think no, of course. But do I believe him when he says that he genuinely thought he and Rory were broken up, so in his mind, he was not cheating, he wasn't with anyone when he did that? Yes, I do believe him. Do I think Rory was justified in being upset? Also, yes. But he took full responsibilities for his actions, he apologized profusely, and he did not give up again in pursuing Rory. And he allows Rory to be upset and doesn't get mad at her for expressing her feelings, unlike something Dean and Jess would have done. Even when he's in the hospital after nearly dying, he's continuing to apologize to her and taking responsibility. Not just, oh, I'm sorry, but I understand what I did was wrong and I shouldn't have done it. And taking responsibility for that action. It's all on him, and not in a, oh, please comfort me way, in a genuine, I'm a man, I'm taking responsibility for my actions. And then him being in the wheelchair and saying, thanks for being who I want to get out of the hospital for. Shut up! If you're noticing a trend here, I'm pointing out reasons that people wouldn't like Logan and then justifying them, so if you're like, why are you only covering negative things? It's because everything else Logan did was positive. So I'm just going over negative things Logan did. I'm just going over things that caused strife within their relationship and then explaining why that doesn't make Logan a terrible person like everyone likes to think he is. For example, the arguments about rich people, and when Rory was first kind of trashed by his family, he of course didn't stand up for that, and he tried to stand up for her, but I understand that whole family dynamic was toxic, so they just got out of there. He didn't just sit by and let them berate Rory. And then when Rory wrote her piece for the newspaper on his friends, basically, and was a little mean to them, apparently. So was he harsh in his response to Rory about that? Yeah. But was he wrong? No. Rory thinks she's so much better because she grew up with a single mom. Yes, she grew up with a single mom. But soon after going to the Independence Inn, they were able to afford a very nice home. They always had money to go out to eat. She went to a prestigious private school, was given a car, not once, but twice. Once by Dean, and then the other by the grandparents. And never had to worry about paying for Yale. Rory always had not just enough, but more than enough. She can drop her whole superiority complex and thinking she's better than the rich people that Lorelai ran from. She gets that from Lorelai, really. If anything, Rory's kind of spoiled. She was pretty much given everything she's ever had. So of course the next fight Logan and Rory have is when Logan kind of rats out Marty for not telling his girlfriend that he did in fact know Rory before they started dating. And I mean, he's not wrong. I don't blame him for being uncomfortable with lying like that straight to someone's face. Could he have been a little easier and nicer about it? Sure, but I get it. He was irritated. And when he met Jess, was he kind of a dick? Yeah, I won't excuse that. He was kind of obnoxious. So, let's talk about later after he quits his father's firm and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life, and so is Rory. He tells Rory to not worry about him. He wants her to pursue her life, and when he's making his decisions, he's going to factor her in. The whole factor in thing was the sweetest thing. He said, pursue your dreams, I'll tag along, basically. He never would have held her back like Dean or Jess would have. It was Rory in the end that panicked and called it quits, not Logan. So let's talk about the proposal. First of all, I just want to say, reminds me very much of Champagne Problems by Taylor Swift. But the way he handled Rory's I need to think about it was very graceful. Of course, he was a little like uneasy. Like, you don't know if you want to marry me? I know I want to marry you. But think about it. When she didn't say I love you back to Dean, he flipped out. He got all mad at her. Logan proposed to her and she's like, I need to think about it. And he's like, oh, shoot. I mean, okay, here, you can hold on to the ring if you want. That'll help your decision. And Jess never would have wanted to commit like that. He would have felt tied down or something. And I understand his frustration with, well, if you don't want to marry me, I don't really want to continue this. I mean, that shows that he really grew as a person, because when he and Rory met, he told her, I'm not a relationship guy. I don't want you to expect that out of me. And Rory said, that's fine. She knew what she was getting into when she got with Logan. And then it was Logan that was like, crap, I kind of really like this girl. I kind of like would die for her, you know? So he stayed committed to the relationship and he admitted, hey, I'm new to this. I'm going to make mistakes. I've never really done the relationship thing. And then he grew into the kind of person that's, I want something solid, and if you're not with me for the long haul, then I don't really want to waste my time. And at the time, Rory had no idea what her future held, so why not take a job at something in San Francisco? That would get her a job, and then she could travel. She could do whatever. He never would have held her back from that. And before anyone brings up the Year in a Life reboot, no, it's not canon. There are only two things from that I'll accept as canon. One is the cute little Life and Death Brigade montage thing in Stars Hollow. And two, Paris's meltdown in the bathroom that goes like this.
Check out what's in my briefcase. Nothing. I brought it because I thought people would think I was more important because I was carrying a briefcase. I'm a phony. I'm still in love with Tristan. What?
Alright, that's all I got. Feel free to yell at me in the comments about how wrong I am and that I should shut up and die or whatever. I don't... Okay, sure, sick. While you're here, check out my Twitch. I've been hanging out there a lot more. I play all different kinds of games. Right now I'm playing Detroit Become Human and Dead by Daylight all the time. So much people are sick of it, but I don't care. I love Dead by Daylight. Since I've been kind of inconsistent with YouTube videos, I just wanted to give anyone who's interested a heads up that that's where I've been hanging out. I'm not like fully transferring or anything. It's just sometimes when it's too hard to make videos, at least I can do some streaming. Also, I sell these enamel pens. They're cheaper now and I want to get rid of them. Please help me get rid of them. I'm so sick of having them. If you stuck around this long, thanks for listening to me. And if you stuck around this long, as in subscribed to my channel at all, thanks for being patient with me. Still not doing super great up here, but God, I'm trying. I'm trying, and hopefully this year will be better, and if not, whatever, dude. And when I'm better, you guys will be the first to know. Don't bite me. Don't. Ow. Ow. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. God, ow.
I put my foot in my mouth